Some of you know my Best Buy story. It was a season in my life when I left pastoral ministry. God told me to wait for the next opportunity in ministry, and he said the answer's through Gateway. Now I'm spending almost 2 years working at Best Buy, selling cameras and computers to all you fine people. And I hated it. I went in every day, and I'd iron those khaki pants, and I'd put on that blue Best Buy shirt, and I'd drive to work every day, saying, God, you said wait. You said the answer's through Gateway. I worked with some young men there, and I was always the older man of the group, and they always wondered what I was doing there. And then a few years later, I finally was asked to join the staff at Gateway, and so I'd been on Gateway staff for about 8 years or 9 years, and I thought, I'd love to hang, and I mentioned this in the message, I'd love to hang a Best Buy shirt in a frame in my office, but I didn't have one anymore, and so I asked one of my friends, one of the young guys that worked there, who was part of Gateway, Chris Kirkendall, if he had a shirt, and he said, yeah, and I said, would you drop it by? I'd love to frame it, and he said, okay, and so he did one day, but I wasn't there, and then he left me a note. This is what he said, Dear Pastor John, I want to take a few minutes and thank you for the fine example of how you waited when God said to do so. When you told the story of your walk through your season that you spent at Best Buy, I couldn't help but think back to all the mornings that we spent working together. Thank you for providing such an excellent example. Never once did I hear a frustrated or discouraged word. I pray that during the most recent experience, walking through a similar waiting season at Best Buy, that I do so with even a tenth of the humility, the integrity, and the strength that I saw in you. May God continue to bless you abundantly for all you do for His kingdom. Thanks again for sharing your story. Chris. 5 weeks after he wrote that letter, Chris was in an accident and he died. But he turned his life back around for Jesus and was doing a great work, serving by helping young people get their life together. He died doing what God called him to do. You see, when you're willing to extend yourself as a servant in humility, others will notice. Your children will notice. Your spouse will notice. Others will be blessed if you're willing to humble yourself. God says, I'll lift you up. God never said you should resist the temptation to be first or great. He just says, if you want to be first, learn to be last. If you want to be great, learn to be a servant to all. And on the night Jesus was put on trial, he went into the garden. And in all the honesty and humanity that he had, he looked at himself and he said, it's possible to let this cup pass from me. But in obedience, he said, not my word, not my will, but yours be done. When Jesus was in the garden that night, he had you on his mind, because he knew one day you would face the same kinds of struggles and temptations, and he didn't want you to be alone. He knew that you would face some of the same problems, some of the same challenges that he faced, and he was looking at you. And as he went to the cross, he had you on his heart. And Jesus, when he hung on Calvary's tree, he gives us the perfect picture of the perfect servant. God will resist the proud, but he gives grace to the humble.